We got the Facebook numbers. Let's go to Nicole. Go ahead, Nicole.
All right. So I was looking actually about the mobile advertising revenue, and that's really key. That represented about 91% of advertising revenue. So that's some good news there. You can see Facebook, Dave and Melissa, is up, and it's gaining over the last 60 seconds because I peaked. It was up 0.25%, then 0.5%, and now you can see it's up 1.25% here. As revenue, $11.97 billion. That beats the estimates, and then you have earnings per share, which also beat at $1.69 versus $1.35, $1.35. Facebook also saying we are taking a broader view of our responsibility. That's all about Cambridge Analytica and investing to make sure our services are used for good. Back to you.
Okay, Jonathan, Deirdre, Todd are back with us along with Michael Nunez, Mashable Deputy Tech Editor. Michael, I'll start with you. These guys, they're classic sandbaggers. They beat on the top and bottom line 8 quarters in a row. They're very good at estimating where they're going to come in and then beating it by a little bit. What is it that you're really focused on in this report? What are you listening for?
So, yeah, I think a lot of people know that Facebook is going to make a lot of money. They're still one of the premier, online advertising platforms out there, along with Google. So that's really no surprise. I think what most people are watching for is user engagement, where the risk is involved is in consumer trust and also consumer engagement. So whether people are still using Facebook regularly, whether they're still spending hours, every single day on the network, that's what brings this platform value in the long run.
Jonathan, they make great money. 91% of their revenue coming from mobile ads. I remember a time when they were saying, are they going to be able to transition into mobile? But is the question really how many people, went along with that delete Facebook hashtag?
Yeah, transition to mobile or even transition to video on the news feed. That was a big thing. And that's been part of Facebook's success, exactly as you said, their ability to transition. Where they go from here, I think, depends, ironically, a lot on government. The stock really had its big decline from basically 180 down to 150 once those government investigations started. So I'm going to be listening and reviewing the call very closely to see if there's any mention that's made of potential government intervention, regulation that could spell real disaster for the stock, which is basically in no man's. Given the beat, you'd expect it to be up more than just a couple percent.
Todd, you see on the bottom of your screen there, monthly average users in the first quarter up 13% year over year. How do you feel about that number?
I think the number's fine, Melissa. I don't see any problem with Facebook. I think they're going to get through this whole thing. I think the regulations that they're going to end up getting are going to benefit them long term. As I said last week, I think that somewhere down in this area, it's probably a buy. I think at the lowest I could see it going is into the low 140s. But at the end of the day, they make a lot of money. They're going to continue to make a lot of money, and their expense outlay to make that money is not very high.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to be fine going forward.
You brought up a great point, Deirdre. I'll ask you about this. He talks about the expense outlay. Another stat that we've seen go by: headcount up 48%. Year over year, and that's going to have to go even higher, right?
It certainly will. And we did hear from Mark Zuckerberg, of course, saying he was going to be adding 10,000 humans, engineers, flesh and blood, right, to combat some of the issues. I mean, Facebook has had a 1-2 punch to the gut since before the presidential election in 2016, right? We remember this statistic where 125 million Americans saw an ad on Facebook that was either manipulated by or generated by a Russian bot. So that was strike one. And then strike two was the 87 million plus people's data that was shared with Cambridge Analytica. So Facebook most certainly does need to hire. And I think the fact that they're adding humans just shows that no matter how good their algorithms are, no matter how good the artificial intelligence tools that they're building, there still need to be some people, good old-fashioned humans, in the mix. So Facebook is going to have to spend more. We will, I think, for the rest of the year, see some of the profit margins come in. The company has also been very vocal, Mark Zuckerberg himself, about spending more. He has said essentially the increase in expenses is going to happen this year. So he's been telegraphing this as much as possible. About the U.S. digital market, I just want to point out, because we were talking about that earlier, Facebook and Google together have 2/3 of the U.S. digital ad market. That is a $90 billion market. 2/3 is shared between two players. And this mobile ad number of 91% is very strong for Facebook.
All I heard in my ear there was next, so I'm just going to go to this. Do users still trust Facebook? We hit the street to find out.
Do you fear that Facebook could be taking your data, or Instagram could be taking your data?
Yeah, a little bit. I know it would be stealing my data.
I don't think it was clear in terms of what they were using the data for.
Would you consider deleting your Facebook?
No.
No.
I'd take it into consideration.
It is under consideration. I actually want to delete it.
Very interesting. Michael, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's really no surprise to me. I think that that a lot of people, especially my age, people that have grown up with Facebook, are really reconsidering their relationship with the app, especially after we found out sort of what Facebook has been doing with our data. You know, it's not as easy as always opting into something.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a period of time where people were able to opt in for you, and it seems like that mess still hasn't been cleaned up.
Deirdre, I think what is so ironic about this is that the young people who don't care about privacy had already moved away from Facebook. I mean, they were already doing everything else, and maybe their profile was still up, but they weren't spending a lot of time there.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's older people, you know, they say they got off because their grandmother was on there. Those are the exact people who are spooked by what's happened, right?
Indeed, and I think we as consumers and as digital media users just have to know, right? We say this, if you're not paying for the product, you're the product. Now, Facebook has launched a very expensive ad campaign to refute what I just said.